Going into this episode, I felt rather uneasy. We first heard about the Breezies back during Three's a Crowd, and it was an effective means of getting Fluttershy out of that episode, since the story really couldn't have worked if she was around. But the concept of the Breezies was not something I could get excited about. I had heard that they were a product of G3, and even seeing the early images gave me the sense that Hasbro wanted to have even more toy options on the store shelves. I was really hoping that the writers could do something interesting with these tiny creatures that just seem to be made for being cute, and perhaps come up with some more world building as well. As the episode begins, we see Fluttershy instructing the rest of the main six on how to cheer. This was a great callback to the opening scene of Sonic Rainboom, which is made all the more interesting since Fluttershy has switched roles. It may not be quite as memorable, but it's still adorable seeing Fluttershy doing another one of her yay moments. So, these Breezies are yet another species of creatures that depend on the ponies for their livelihood. I can imagine that ponykind has been shaping the world to their advantage so much for so long that many other species have lost some of their survival instincts over time, but these Breezies seem immensely delicate. And while the episode tried to create some tension by putting them in danger, I just couldn't stop thinking about how these tiny little things could ever get anywhere on their own. I wasn't really looking forward to seeing an entire episode dedicated to the Breezies until one of them started to stand out. This Seabreeze character was actually a very welcomed addition. I was worried that all these Breezies were just going to talk in their native language and act cute the entire episode, taking advantage of Fluttershy until she taught them the lesson they needed. But having Seabreeze there to help Fluttershy learn the lesson as well helps to balance things out a bit. And even his attitude about the whole conflict brought an interesting counterpoint. Seeing something so tiny getting all flustered actually made me smile. However, I will say that much of the story did seem rather cliché. That is until...
This is probably gonna feel a little funny at first, but you're gonna have to trust me.
Oh my. They aren't going to... They did! Oh my goodness, I did not see this coming. And here I thought that this whole episode was being way too predictable, and suddenly this part shows up. I can only imagine just how the whole fandom reacted to this. Transformation magic. Although we have seen a bit of this before, now that they are using this on ponies is a very interesting concept, which can open up a whole new world of story ideas for future episodes. Even more so with Rainbow Dash's line at the end here.
I've always kind of wondered what it would be like to be a griffin. Not a chance. You sure? What about a dragon?
Rainbow has always been curious what it would feel like to be a griffin? Or a dragon? This has a lot of possibilities. I do remember seeing fan art of Rainbow Dash as a dragon, and by itself that would make for an intriguing concept, but a griffin as well? I'm reminded of the friendship between Rainbow and Gilda way back during Griffin the Brush-Off. I can imagine that Rainbow having a griffin to race against was where this curiosity came from. And now that that story element has been suggested in the show, I really want to see someone put this together. Although given the immense amount of creative talent this fandom has, I imagine I'll only have to wait a couple days at most to see this in the draw friend. This episode did present a few short bits of comedy, like when Rarity has a jacket that causes too much glare, which in turn was hiding something even brighter. That actually got a laugh out of me. But I don't think that there was much entertainment value with this episode overall. We are introduced to a new species of intelligent creatures, which I hope actually has some kind of bearing on the overall plot of the show, but it seems much more likely that Hasbro wanted to increase their toy line, especially with making the main six into Breezies as well. With that said, however, I think the moral is especially strong here, and it's actually much more mature than practically any other show I've seen that attempted this same kind of message. I mean, who would have thought that Fluttershy's key involved learning about kindness through being firm? That's the kind of moral that needs a lot of balancing and thus something that cannot be taken lightly. But at the same time, it really is an essential skill in life. Being calm and trying to avoid conflict all the time will make you into a pushover and may end up harming those around you as well. I know this lesson shares a lot of similarities with putting your hoof down, but I honestly think it is handled far better here, especially because the writers didn't have to make any of the characters unlikable in order to teach this message, like they did with the citizens of Ponyville and Angel Bunny back during Putting Your Hoof Down. And there is the added lesson of showing how helping others can sometimes mean that you need to be firm with them. So while the episode itself didn't have that much enjoyment factor for me, the lesson they presented and how they handled it in the story is well done and very much appreciated. Pushing others away may seem cruel, but sometimes it can be the kindest thing you can do. Again, a lesson that needs balancing but is still an essential skill that everyone should learn. A very well done moral. In the meantime, though, I would like to hear your thoughts about this episode. What do you think about adding the concept of Breezies to the world of Equestria? Do you think that they'll be making a return anytime in the near future? What about this added story element of transformation magic? Can you think of any story possibilities this could add to the show? What do you think about the lesson of how pushing others away can sometimes be the kindest thing you can do? I would like to hear your thoughts on It Ain't Easy Being Breezies, and here's looking forward to all the new fan art that will inevitably follow this episode. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you. By the way, DHX, Dr. Hooves wearing 3D glasses and walking with Rose Luck? Clever. Very clever.
Clever girl.